don't know if there's any for the ones. I'm sorry. Oh. It wouldn't be able. No, that's like in the annex.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right, yeah, I don't think there's any other highway. And upstairs. There's a whole.
Alright, so here we have. Steve's not gonna be here. Yeah. Physically stuck. Yeah. No, I know, I tried to get out of it tonight because I was sick. We decided that she's sicker. So, I got a small stuff.
Sure.
Are we live?
Yes.
Okay.
We have enough chairs. Is this everyone for tonight?
All right, good evening, everyone. I call this planning board meeting to order. So a couple things before we start. I'm a little under the weather, but not as much as Christine, so I drew the small straw and I'm here. And she's on Zoom. But we do have a quorum. And so the first order of business will be approval of the draft minutes from March 18th. Christine, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, we can hear you.
Nothing on my side.
I don't have anything. Don't have anything.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
George? I vote yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Christine, do you get to vote on Zoom? How's it work?
I didn't have any changes, so I don't think I can vote on Zoom, but
That's what I thought. Yeah.
happy to weigh in if you'd like me to.
No changes on your end?
No.
Okay. Okay, minutes approved. All right, so our invitation for a public comment, other than our hearings tonight. Is there any members of the audience that are here besides, for anything besides the hearings? For either Martin or Von Sneidern? Okay. So technically we have till 7:10. So we have 5 minutes before we're supposed to start the hearing. Christine, did you want to talk about while we have 5 minutes here, to talk about the what's going on up in Concord?
Sure. Let me just bring my, I typed something up, which I emailed to everybody earlier. I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at that. I gotta find it. So it was a legislative update. And so these are, I attended last week a meeting up in Concord. Actually, it was in Bow, related to regional planning commissions. And there was a couple of lists that were shared, one from Office of Planning and Development and one from the NHMA. Just some bills to keep an eye on. And all of these bills have passed one or the other, either the Senate or the House. So I would just encourage everybody to, sign up or keep an eye on these bills in particular, but again, they are by no means the only ones that are being watched closely. One of them that's being proposed would require all towns without town water and sewer to change their lot sizes to 2 acres in the majority of their residential zoning districts. So no more 3 acre, no more 5 acre. It would be 2 acres for Temple. There is something built in to sort of get around that, but it would put a heavy burden on towns. We would have to provide empirical evidence, is what they call it, to prove that the lot had to be bigger than that. So that is kind of a big deal, that one. I think that one is, I want to say that is SB 84. So that one has passed the Senate and is going on to the House. The other big one is SB 170. Let's see. Has a few different things, and one of them is setting limits on road frontage and setbacks, among other things. So those, I mean, all of them really that were in that document, which Kathy can make available if there's people that are interested beyond the board, to keep an eye on that. And then at the end of that document, I also put some links which came from NHMA on if you want to comment on any of these bills, it'll tell you how to do it. And if you want to sign up to get news on any of these bills, there's a way to do that as well. Does that about cover it for now, or anybody have questions on any of them? There was a lot in there.
Dean, I was wondering, are you saying that these bills then override our zoning and essentially our zoning doesn't matter?
So the NHMA's position is that this takes away local control. So basically, yes, it would override our zoning. So we really need to be paying attention and commenting if we feel so inclined.
There's another question on that. What's the thought process behind this 2 acre minimum lot size?
I can't speak specifically for why it's being proposed. I haven't heard those conversations. But the sense that I get is that the feeling is that because towns are resisting changes, to encourage housing development, the legislature is taking matters into their own hands. And unfortunately, it's contradictory to what they have been promoting, which, like the housing opportunity grants, which, really encouraged towns like ours to figure out what made the most sense for us. So this is frustrating.
Yeah, well, not to mention towns like ours have, we have setback regulations. We have our 250-foot square that we require. There's wetland setbacks. We have there's a lot to it besides just our 3 acres. So if it does pass, it's
Right,
going to be interesting.
Those things would still factor in. But yeah, there's still like state DES requirements and those things would still apply. Yeah, it's and as I shared with you, Bruce, earlier, that the Office of Planning Development had a representative at this meeting that I was at, and they don't take positions on bills, but what they do offer is technical advice. And when they offered technical advice, when these bills were proposed, the offer was declined. So they haven't been part of the conversations that are, talking about how are towns like ours going to implement this. I mean, the NHMA, for one of them, is, predicting we'd have to hire somebody with technical expertise to review applications. which obviously would be a cost for us that we're not planning on.
Good. Well, so I guess I would encourage everybody to look at the updates that Christine emailed out today with everything going on in respect to legislative proposed changes. And I think we're good with 7:10 for our hearing time, so I'm going to call the hearing to order for the subdivision application for Peter von Sneidern, lot 5B47 on Fish Road.
So I'll
So
recuse
You
myself.
recuse yourself, Russ, and then you're gonna speak for Peter?
Yes.
We still have a quorum, so we're good. So first we have a couple of housekeeping items. I have a letter of authorization that Peter and Ray Times represent them. And the application is this.
Sorry, can somebody give Russ a microphone, please?
Right there.
It's right there.
Thank you.
So Christine, we have the signed application from both Peter and Lorraine von Snyder.
Yes, thank you. I saw that. Russ emailed me.
So for those of you here for this hearing, that might be abutters or just concerned citizens. I'm supposed to explain the reason for holding a hearing is to gain input from any persons potentially affected by this proposal. And so there'll be a time once Russ does his presentation on behalf of the Von Snyderns, there'll be a time for public or abutter questions or comments for the board to hear. Go ahead, Russ.
Okay, so I'm Russ Huntley, Huntley Survey and Design. I'm here for Pete von Sneidern and his wife Lorraine. They're proposing a 2-lot subdivision. You guys probably, this is better. It's on Fish Road, and what we're taking is 2 small building lots, about 4 acres and 3 acres off the northeast corner. I've done the wetlands out there. They've been all delineated and mapped. We've got topography. We've done test pits. I did those with Pete Caswell, and they were successful. We have our 4K areas, well radius, which is just sort of a placeholder. We get the 2 50-foot squares. We get the rest of the parcel over here in an inset for the survey. Actually, the perimeter of the property had been done by Ed Goodrich. So we used his perimeter and I tied into that with my survey. And then we surveyed just the 2 small lots to split them off. They both meet the frontage requirements, the area requirements. They're fairly straightforward. I don't know what else I can tell you. Have any questions, anybody?
Yeah, well, I guess so. As a board, we did a preliminary, we've seen these, we saw these plans a few weeks ago. And our preliminary thought process was based on what we saw, that the plans do meet the frontage requirements and everything Russ has just alluded to as far as the delineations of the wetlands and contours, and you know, the well radiuses, septic systems have been, test pits have been dug, and there's the 250-foot square. And the reason we have the 250-foot square, for people that don't know, is to years ago, Temple adopted this in our zoning so that we don't create skinny abnormal bowling alley lots. It prohibited or prevents that from happening. So that's the reason for a 250-foot square. It doesn't mean that the house has to be built in that square. It just means that you have to prove that you can put a 250-foot square on your lot. So with that said, I guess if anybody from the board have any questions or comments for Russ or Peter? Any abutters or citizens have any?
I guess my
Questions?
question would be, where exactly from that in? On that property?
It's, the wetlands is this hatched area. So, there's a stream that comes across the road. And that kind of, we divided the two parcels kind of along the stream, and then it flares out and it keeps going backwards. We didn't bother to delineate all the wetlands of the rest of the property.
So this is discussing the 40 acres next to that.
It's just these two lots right here. The remaining area, where the barn is and everything, I don't think Pete has any designs on right now.
Yeah, so it just creates two building lots on Fish Road. Yep, what are they, 3 point, what's this? The lot sizes are
4 and 3.
4 and
yeah.
3, yeah. Yep.
And
But the answer is just two building lots are created on Fish Road.
and the remainder acreage on I'm assuming there's that house here or the lot your house is on, Pete? Other side of the road, okay. So the remaining acreage is 46 acres.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think, Andrew, so that property does come down in a butt to a lot of the people on Flanders and Moran, my uncle, and there's 4 or 5 of you, I think, that a butt come down, yeah.
You're all way back in here.
Yeah. Yep.
The around the lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the whole piece is right. Yeah.
Yeah, the big work on that is very descriptive of what lots it was trying to include in houses or.
Yeah, well, we apologize as a board for that. Maybe we should be a little bit clearer when we send out notices as to exact location of where the lots were,
I think the maps are usually included.
the map. So
But
maybe we could direct
yeah,
abutters
yeah,
to go on and look. They would have saved you a trip down here.
yeah.
You know, because you would have been able to look it up.
Yeah, maybe a summary or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Summary.
Yeah.
It could, is it not to be, carefully stated, not everybody knows how to read plans.
Right, yeah,
absolutely.
right. I've got a total of 125 acres, right along that 1 4 acre lot. So everything I want to stay the same. If I subdivide it now, it's an emergency. I avoid a 6 to 1 every year lifetime. So, yeah. The plan is to keep as much of it in the family as possible. Great.
Okay. Well, I guess if we don't have any comments from the board, I would close the public hearing portion and then go into a quick deliberative session as a board to vote on the merits of the subdivision. So without any objection, I'll close the hearing officially for this Sneidern project. And so the board here, our job, I guess, now is to decide to accept the application as complete.
Is there a waiver?
Waivers, yes, thanks, Christine.
Yep.
We have to vote on any and all waivers. And didn't we have?
There are 2.
One, I can't remember the first one. The second one was showing wells and leach fields within 1,000 feet of the lot. And then it's a little excessive for,
That's great. Just that one.
there should be a page there.
I think the other one was that you asked for a waiver for the preliminary design review because it's a minor subdivision that we
yeah.
allow that for minor subdivisions.
Okay, so we have a motion to waive the preliminary design review, and what was the second one?
The wells.
Separate.
Yeah, I guess we can do them separate if you want. Yeah, I mean, they're both waivers, so that's,
No,
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
yeah.
I will make a motion to accept the waiver requests of this. The design review, the waiver for the design review, and the waiver for the septic drainage field and well locations.
Second it.
Carter, how do you vote?
Yes,
George?
Yeah.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, the waivers are approved. So now we need to, I'll accept a motion to accept the application as complete.
second,
Okay, Carter, how do you vote?
yes,
George?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Okay, application's accepted. Good night, guys. All right, so now we're supposed to deliberate on the merits of the application. Vote to approve, deny, or continue future meetings. So I don't think, Christine, help me here. What was that, conditions of approval?
Yeah, so there's a few things that are usually included if you vote to approve. One is that lots are under 5 acres, so the state DES, NHDES has to approve them.
Yep.
So that usually happens after our approval, so that's one of the conditions. I'm assuming that hasn't started yet, right? Correct?
No,
Russ?
not yet.
Yep.
No.
And then the Mylars, of course, usually are not delivered until after approval.
Yep.
And then the monuments, sometimes they're set when we ask for them to be set before we file with Registry of Deeds, but sometimes it's, when there's a certificate of occupancy. So, I don't know, Russ, if you had a plan for that.
These will be set within the next week or two.
Okay. So that would be another condition. And then the last one isn't really a condition. It's just an acknowledgement that there are wetlands on the property. And if the applicant has to understand that any activities in the wetland, such as excavation, fill, dredge, removal, and/or construction of structures in or on any bank, flat, marsh, or swamp in or adjacent to wetlands and water bodies will require a permit or authorization from NHDES Wetlands Bureau. And that's per RSA. And you don't have to worry about copying that. Bruce has a copy.
Mhm. Yep. Okay, so we won't issue a notice of decision and findings of fact until after the DAS comes back with.
No, we issue a notice of decision within 5 days. But the
Mhm.
conditions of the decision as final approval isn't done until all of those 4 things are completed.
Yep.
Or at least 3 of them, actually, because one of them's not a condition. It's just an acknowledgement.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Peter. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have to go to DES, even though there's no building permit?
Well, Russ can explain that, I think, for you.
DES has to approve any lots that are under 5 acres. So it's an online filing.
Okay, well, I think unless you correct me if I'm wrong, Christine, I think we're all set now with everything here tonight.
Yeah, someone would make a motion to approve with those conditions that I listed and that you have in front of you on a piece of paper.
Okay.
It sounds like, sorry to interrupt. I think Russ said he brought checks, so that one,
Yep.
that's number 2 on the list I gave you. If he has the checks, that can be removed.
Yeah, well, obviously we won't have the Mylars and the other 2 paper copies for.
Right,
Done.
just the checks you can take
Until,
out.
until DES approval, right, on the Mylars?
Right.
Yep. So that could be weeks.
They're pretty quick. They're a couple weeks, probably at most.
So I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision with the conditions of approval in regards to the DES of the lot under 5 acres with the 2 copies of Mylars, 2 paper copies. We have the checks. Also, the locations of the monuments to be set prior to the Hillsborough Registry of Deeds. The recording at the Hillsborough, and that the applicant understands the activities as far as dredge and fill removal, excavation in regards to wetlands, marsh and swamp, that you would need a permit from New Hampshire DES. So I make that motion. Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
George? I vote yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
application approved. Thanks for coming in. Okay, next up is final review for lot line adjustment for Randall Martin. How are you, Randy? Good, good. So there was, so you're here tonight for your lot line adjustment. And I guess if you wanted to grab the mic, Randy, and just for your abutters that are here, if you don't mind, explaining how we got here, where it all started, what you're trying to accomplish, that would be wonderful.
My name's Randy Martin, and we've been going through the process of the lot line adjustment behind my house on Powers and McRae Road. And I think that we've have a pretty comprehensive survey. We've used, we're actually only increasing the lot by a fraction of an acre, keeping it 12.1 acres. And with the realignment of the lot line, it basically follows all the stone walls around the property, the original boundaries. And there's nothing really too much with that. The eventual plan is to, with the new lot, line, is to be able to eventually do a 3-lot subdivision with a planned residential development and have some conservation area around the lots and have, it's very beautiful. And so we're kind of excited about that. And that's that's pretty much it. So I'm hoping people have questions for me, and I'd love to have people come and walk around and see the property and see for yourself. So any questions from abutters or anything, or any more comments from the board?
Okay, well, I guess, so Christine, are we handling this like an application for a subdivision, even though it's a lot
Yes,
line?
yes.
Yep. So we would basically follow the same procedure we just did for the previous.
Yeah, it's not a hearing per se, but I think we have typically, allowed public comment, particularly from abutters.
Yep. So do we have anyone here that had a question for the board or for Randy as an abutter? Nope.
I just came from Jeannie Whitcomb. Irrevocable Trust is one of the abutters. I'm here for the Whitcomb plan, and I just wanted to hear what you were up to and say hi. So I'm glad you're doing it.
So you need to come visit too.
Okay, well, the board, we've been working on this, reviewing this with Randy for the last month or so, a couple months, I guess. And everything we've seen so far is all within our regulations for what he's doing as far as the lot line adjustment, the proposed PRD that he's proposing to do in the future appears on paper to be doable. But we're not here tonight to approve that. We're here just to do the lot line adjustment. And thus, it's not your full hearing. It's I guess how else would I explain that, Russ?
It's just, we have to look at it to approve it, but it's not a public hearing where all the public comes in because it's a lot line adjustment. And so we're really here just to make sure that all the check boxes on the checklist are there on the plan. And
And they are.
they are.
I have a question though, Bruce, I don't know if you saw, I emailed earlier for Randy. It looks like on the last time this was subdivided was in 2019. And there's a plan on file with the Registry of Deeds number 40039. And on that plan, there's an easement for Timber Doodle and for Flyaway Farm to use that access road in the back. And I noticed that's not on the plans that you submitted.
Right, Christine, I think that that easement goes away because all the property is owned by the same person now. That easement was put in when brother-in-law Joe Casey purchased the building. And we put the easement in just so that there would be a way to get to the back land before the old Flyway property was annexed to the main property.
Okay, I wonder if something needs to be filed with Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds just to remove that. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking the question because I
Right.
noticed that wasn't there.
I think we just need to file a letter with them of agreement with everyone. And it's basically me because that's the owner of all the
Right.
property now.
Right, right.
I think
So
when
I'm
you have
happy to do that
all the
if that's
interest, you
helpful.
don't need anything.
Say that
Sorry,
again.
what, Russ?
When you own all the interests, like you own the land, you own essentially now the easement too,
Right.
then it's moot. You don't have to do anything because the easement doesn't matter now. It's gone.
Right. Because I did talk with Earl about that and he said the same thing, that we didn't need to include it because it kind of disappears.
Right.
It's non-existent situation.
Okay. So, maybe just a note on the plans could be added, saying that easement is dissolved or no longer in place.
I guess I do have a question. On the existing lots, with the oranges,
8.1.
yeah, 8.1 is above the orange, that showing as you own that land. The tax map's not reflecting that. And so I'm guessing you did a merger or something, or? The tax map only looks like it's a 4-acre lot.
We have a copy of it right here, Randy, if you wanted to.
The tax map looks like it's only this.
Right. That was originally the 4 acres.
Yep.
And then that I purchased from the Whitcombs, which had the little garage on it.
Yeah.
And then the third parcel was this parcel that I purchased. So this kind of happened in sections. And the easement kind of goes through this original 4-acre lot. And so that was three transactions ago.
Sorry, well, it won't matter now. The tax maps would have to be updated, but they're gonna be anyways because of the adjustment, so.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of,
So they don't reflect that.
right.
How long ago was that? A few years ago?
while.
And that still hasn't been
15, yeah.
updated.
Yeah.
We
I
let
didn't get caught.
we let that one slip through, Christine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know there were a few that didn't get updated in 2019
Also-
from the last time we did.
Need your
so
signature.
yeah, perhaps it wasn't caught then either.
Okay. And I think you had alluded to that Randy needed to sign that, so he just did, Christine.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, what's next?
I don't know if there was any totals for the check as well.
Do we have,
I don't know how much the
Guys, we're
mailers
gonna
cost.
decide on whether it was the town rate or the regular rate for the
It would
certified mail.
the town rate.
well, I guess the question is, Christine, we wanted to ask Randy when he thought he would be coming before us to do the PRD? 'Cause if it was-
I thought that when I thought the plans included the PRD in addition to the lot line adjustment, but then I saw it was only the lot line adjustment, so I think it's just the lot line adjustment. We don't need to know.
So
I
it
mean,
doesn't
unless he
matter.
wants to tell us, but
Right, well, yeah, earlier we thought that if you were gonna do the PRD right away, we would hold off on the checks
Right.
and have you just, do it at one time, but.
I can do either way. I think we were gonna finalize the lot line adjustment and finish that and then start on the next part of it.
Yeah.
Was what we had talked about.
That's what we're doing then.
I move to approve the lot line adjustment.
Okay, so Christine, do we already accept the waivers? We need to vote on waivers first, right?
yes. And accept the application as complete.
Yeah, and then accept the application is complete. So, were the waivers that were? Nope, we didn't have any.
I don't see any
No
waivers.
Okay, so no waivers.
I don't see any waivers.
Then, the next thing would be to vote to accept the application is complete.
I'll move to accept the application as complete.
Second,
Carter, how do you vote?
yes,
George? I vote yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, application is accepted.
No.
No, because she's on
That's good.
Zoom. Yeah, we don't think that that's legal. I know. Yeah, but how would you vote, Christine?
I agree in principle.
Yeah, we weren't 100% clear, so we're not having her vote this meeting, but everything's been unanimous, so. Yeah, but good catch. We're not leaving her out on purpose. All right, so, the next step would be what would the next step be?
So I
Christine?
think the only conditions are the Mylars and the check.
Yeah, we're not doing the DES 5 lot because that's not what we're creating.
Right, and then
So-
if monuments need to be moved,
Yeah. So obviously we would need the Mylars and the 2 paper copies along with the checks. Are there monuments that need to be?
No, those are all in.
Everything. Yeah, it looks like everything. else.
Okay.
And the walls are there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've done drill holes.
Yep. And you understand if there's any wetlands,
yeah, that's more for the subdivision.
that would be for subdivision, yeah. All right, so what are we voting on for conditions of approval? Just the Mylars basically
and the check.
and the checks? Yeah,
Yeah, unless he's gonna give you a check today, then you don't need
all
to.
right. So I'll make a motion to approve this subdivision with the conditions for the Mylars and the checks.
I'll second.
Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
George? I vote yes.
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 Okay. This is approved.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So Bruce, shall I bring you the Mylars and the checks? Do we know what the amounts are, for
I
the
can
final
email you
amounts?
tomorrow with the amount.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Well,
Two-
thank
two
you all
paper co-
very much.
Two paper copies, 2 Mylars,
Yeah,
and the checks. And we know you let him know that one's made out to the
Yeah.
town. Yeah, okay.
I assume the electronic copy we have is the most recent.
Say that again, Christine?
I said I assume the electronic copy that we have is the most recent.
Randy says yes.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you, Randy. We'll see you soon, I'm sure. We'll see you soon, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next thing, order of business would be all-purpose storage. I don't think we have an update on anything there. And I'm curious to see how the cohort, the SolSmart New Hampshire went last week. How many of you attended? Just you and Christine? Yep. Yep.
Your comments?
It's all you.
So I think it was, it went well. There was 32 of the 34 that registered, which was pretty towns that registered attendance. So it was a pretty big attendance. They usually get quite a bit smaller attendance to that. They seem to have it well organized as far as they've already planned out the agenda for the, for the whole thing, basically. We've got homework basically for each month. One of the things for this month is to sign the application. They've already provided us with a preliminary assessment, a baseline assessment, and as you can expect, as is, I believe is provided, we don't have the verbiage that they would recommend, and frankly, it's pretty interesting things, like we'll throw some examples out there. Is that your solar panels on your roof won't exceed the perimeter of your roof, right? It's gonna make sense. So verbiage like that to protect and make sure that it has that kind of thing. It also has a lot of verbiage recommendations around ensuring that that there aren't things put in place that would reasonably restrict the use of solar. So, like HOAs might do, that, trying to put verbiage in or suggest that you not put verbiage in that would cause hardship to anybody wanting to put solar. So the bottom line is they gave us a baseline assessment, looking at our checklist. We actually highlighted because Temple and one other town, I don't think the other town, Kristen might remember, were the only 2 towns of the 32 that actually had a solar application. Ours was written, I believe, by Will Labs, so we already have one, which they used as a demonstration. So all we got to do is kind of look at the checklist, I should have said, and consider adopting the recommendations that they have that aren't in the checklist to the checklist, and of course making changes to our plan or creating a solar plan, a separate solar plan, I guess, with the other kind of conditions for adopting solar. So it's pretty comprehensive, and I think the next few months would be to look at the checklist and make the changes we want to make, and try and get those through if we can. Doesn't matter. Basically, they're providing us the guidance. If at the end of the 4 months, we haven't agreed on a checklist or we haven't changed the plan, none of that matters. They'll work with us and they'll continue to work with us to get it done, so.
Was that the email that was sent out on Friday, the 28th? Was there a check? I saw the email, I just didn't have time to go through the whole.
Well, it is kind of cryptic too, so I can check, I don't know if Christine's looking now, but, I don't have it in front of me. But
Yes. So an email came out on March 14th, which had next steps for Temple.
Yeah, but on
And
the
then there was-
28th, Sarah Brock sent out an email on the 28th saying next steps.
so that would be the next month.
That was last Friday.
Yep.
That would be basically what we're supposed to do between now and the next meeting. It sounds like.
Yeah, so we all should really read this thoroughly and,
Yeah,
and
and Christine provided me, I don't know if she provided everybody, but a list of things that she thought we should. Next steps for us internally, like present the select board. I don't remember there was like 3 or 4 items Christine.
Yeah, I can go over it if you want.
Yeah, please.
So Temple has been assigned basically an energy circuit rider, so somebody with technical expertise to work with us. And his name is Frank Richter. He also happens to be currently working with our renewable energy task force on their proposed solar, or what they're considering for solar plan for the town buildings. So it's kind of nice that he's already familiar with some work that's been done here. So my recommendation, I guess, he's planning to come to the next Renewable Energy Task Force meeting, and that's on October 16th at 7. That's a Wednesday. So my recommendation would be that we reach out to him and either schedule a meeting that same day or invite him to come to the planning board meeting and go over the review of the recommendations for our zoning for solar, to give us a little more information to understand what we're looking at for the recommendations. Then we would also want to talk to the select board, because I don't know if it's them or Will Wilds who does the inspections. It's probably Will Wilds, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'd want to talk to him and also talk to the select board, because I think they signed the permits. Is that correct, George?
George, you sign select board signs the permits. Yep.
Yeah, I see them
Absolutely.
on the agenda sometimes, so I was assuming, but yeah, I don't know the process, so I think just understanding the process right now would be good for us as a board to understand.
Christine,
then-
just to interrupt you quick. So my email says next meeting.
Yep.
It says bookmark these links, and there's a couple links, but then it says next meeting
April 17th.
Thursday, April 17th. Yeah, because you had just said Wednesday, the 16th, and I thought.
Yeah, that's our renewable energy task force is meeting that day.
Oh,
And
okay,
then the
I didn't
cohort
hear
meets
it.
on the 17th.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think it would be good for us to talk to the Renewable Energy Task Force and the Select Board before that meeting on the 17th, so we have a better understanding of where things are at and how they work right now. And then just with the renewable energy, I think it's, just good to loop them into the conversation, because I think they're working on similar stuff. So
a question for you guys that have been attending, just so I'm clear, and maybe everybody else, but the ultimate goal here is to walk away with verbiage for our zoning that is solar friendly. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
correct.
Just one,
Taking in.
which,
all recommendations. Work with them.
because I read like the assessment and it's like none, well, we don't have any mention of solar, so we have nothing to go off of, right? So we're just starting
Yeah. So
from scratch here, essentially.
Pretty,
in their recommendation, they not only, tell you, hey, you don't have verbiage in
Yeah.
there for this, they actually provide you the verbiage.
They
that
provide you
recommend. And so you could literally.
Yeah,
Copy and paste their verbiage.
sure.
You know, and obviously make any adjustments that we feel we need, so that it's very thorough. It is complicated, by the way. I was gonna say that, you know, it took me a while to figure out how to get into their spreadsheet.
The spreadsheet has like 20 tabs in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you have this much data about Temple?
I spent a little bit of time today trying to print out this one page, page that was all on one page. When you tried to print it, it squeezed it all out, made it very, very small print. I had to put in page break.
Yeah.
Print it out, so, but yeah, it's very thorough. Christine, you want to mention the other two? I got your list up now.
Well, I was just gonna respond to Carter's question, just to give a little background that there is references to energy and sustainability, renewable energy in our master plan. There's in the vision statement, I think it's the 4th bullet that talks about sustainable practices, including renewable energy should be encouraged. So that's from the 2019 vision statement. Then in our NRI audit, you know, economic development chapter, there's a statement about researching green infrastructure and energy options to reduce cost of living expenses. And they, you know, say solar energy audits, low impact development. And then in our energy chapter from 2010, there's also references to an RSA and, you know, just talking about exploring other options. I think one of the recommendations was to adopt ordinances that encourage and improve energy efficient private development, including green building design and small wind, geothermal, and solar energy systems. So there's nothing in our zoning, but there are references to it in our master plan.
So Christine, we don't have anything that's technical or.
Nope, just that checklist, the permit application.
What do we count, like, do we even count them as a structure, like a ground mount system, or is that something?
I
think
believe
setbacks.
it's considered an accessory use.
Okay,
Yeah, and it depends, if it's on a roof, it
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but if it's ground mount, then it's considered accessory use, from what I read. You know, another example of what they talk about from the flip side of it, protecting us from getting regulated out of being able to put solar in, for example, is if we had height restrictions. It suggests putting verbiage in there that omits or excludes solar panels on your roof as being impacted by height restriction.
Oh.
Because a lot of times, you know, air conditioning units and antennas and things like that are also omitted, but.
Is there any disadvantage though? Like we don't have anything in place right now, so therefore people can get solar, right? Like is adding more regulation a hindrance?
I think the intent is to make it easier for people to do it in an informed way and to protect them, to make sure they're not getting, you know, sold something they don't necessarily need. It's just to provide some guidance.
Yeah, I would agree. I think overarching the guidance here is to put in verbiage that helps encourage and make it easier for the solar, you know, for you to get solar, not to regulate it to death. It seems more inclined to try and be informative and provide, you know, in your documentation, things that you should consider, you know, before you go solar, so that you don't get hurt, like Christine said. So far, I think it's a worthwhile plan.
Yeah, and that's a question we can certainly ask our circuit rider, Frank Richter, and see if he's heard of any cases where it's been too restrictive. But my impression after the session was that it's just to help people in town do it in an affordable way, but also to protect them.
One of the things that Christine had recommended was to invite our ECR, our Frank Richter, to present to the planning board. That would be an opportunity to ask those kind of questions too. And she hasn't yet watched the baseline assessment video, which is providing, but that tells you a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, my only comment would be, and Christine, it would be that the key thing here would be not to be more regulated or more restrictive. I think the reason we're involved is because they want it to be part of the planning board's rules and regulations, but or that's a part of it, but you're saying that it's, and Jim's saying that it's here to guide people, citizens, but I just worry that, we're not regulating
Yeah.
something that,
Doesn't need to be regulated.
doesn't need to be regulated. So I guess it's, on the
Yeah,
surface, it seems harmless on the surface, but I'm always watching, I'm always looking over my shoulder when I see things like this, because I just wonder, everything subtly gets changed. And it was like, how did that happen? It's like, well, I don't know. I didn't understand it. So I hope we're, as I know as a board, we're all pretty smart, so we're not gonna let that happen. And our constituents, our people that vote us in aren't gonna allow us to do that, or else we will get loaded in again if we're doing something that's crazy for Temple. So I'm sure it's harmless, but we should just keep,
It's all in our hands, right?
Mhm.
I mean, they're providing options, considerations for us to look at, and the way I look at it is we would just literally step through that list of recommendations and pick and choose what we think would be worth putting in and not putting in. And obviously a big factor in that is not putting something in there that's gonna make it more difficult to restrict it. So
Do you know if the other towns that are participating, are they places similar to us that have no restriction or no zoning around that, or do they already have that?
all over the map.
All over
They
the
had-
map.
The biggest was Nashua,
Okay,
and the smallest was way up in north somewhere.
yeah.
So
Sounds smaller than ours.
yes. yes.
Yeah, my
I-
impression was, as has been said, there were some things that they were recommending for safety, but it was really for the benefit of the homeowner to make sure they get, the best package for what their needs are, and not be oversold something that they don't need. And also do it in a way that, is sustainable.
Another one that comes to mind again was reflective, whether your solar panels put a glare on, and they're basically saying, put in your guidance that, or your plan that's not gonna be considered. Because airplanes are the only ones that really have to worry about that kind of thing. But they're basically, from their observations in other places, they found people putting in their regulations some requirement to have the reflectivity of your solar panels be assessed for glare, too much glare and stuff, and they're saying, put something in there that says, you don't need to do that. But and again, those are just the kind of things, I think, again, it seems to be more of a, here's a gotcha that we want to help you keep yourself out of. We would never put anything like that in there, but as a small town, but.
Yeah, I think the other example, in which you may have mentioned already, Jim, because I can't always hear exactly what you're saying, but was for roof mounted the height restriction. They were saying that a solar panel should be exempt from the height restriction. So that would enable someone, if they wanted to do solar, if, I think our height restriction is 40 feet, right? So if the panels, go over that, they would be exempt. So it's kind of the opposite of what you're concerned about. It's to enable people to do it if they otherwise couldn't.
But what if the panels or are we 40 or 45 feet, our height restriction?
I think it's 40.
40, so what if the panels go 60? Do we want panels to be able to go 60 feet, 20 feet above what our, so I'm gonna go the other way.
I can't
I don't wanna
imagine there'd be
regulate
solar
people, but I
panels
don't,
that were that
where do
big,
we-
but
Maybe there has to be some regulation, I guess.
yeah.
I mean, when would that ever
exactly.
happen?
I don't think that's a practical.
When would that be? Yeah,
scenario.
right, I know. It's probably not gonna happen.
Be like
Probably.
a sale on a house.
Yeah.
And I think there's some coverage for that too. I think they mentioned, for roof mounted, they talk a little bit about angles and the, obviously the wind loads and things like that. So I think that would go the other way, like you said, there's probably something in there that would prohibit you from putting a 20-foot tall
20-foot tall
solar
bracket.
panel
here,
on the
right?
roof of your house. But that, you know,
beams to hold it.
yeah, because, you know, generally when you put it on the house, you don't put much of an angle on it, because unless it's a flat roof.
Right.
But
Good. Do we have anything else on SolSmart, or are we good for tonight?
Well, I guess the question is, does somebody want to go talk to the select board? We should get on the agenda for the Renewable Energy Task Force, and do we want to invite Mr. Richter to come and speak to the board? And the reason I don't mean to rush for the next meeting, but because that meeting is happening on the 17th, it would be good for us to be a little more informed before we go to that meeting, because that one is designed for planning boards.
I like all of your suggestions, and I'm willing to support whatever we need.
Are you willing, Jim, to go before the select board at their next meeting to talk to them about this? And I think maybe getting our representative here for the 17th might be rushing it, but you tell me.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him yet. I have no
Mhm.
idea, but
Yeah.
it might be worth the question or the ask to see if we can make it, because he would be much more educated and informed in what to handle their questions, but I'm willing to go. Yeah.
So Christine, we need to go, if we could get, if Jim volunteers or yourself to go to the select board prior.
I think the select board is maybe less urgent, but because that meeting is May for the permitting process, that's the agenda for their May meeting. But understanding the zoning review they did and the recommendations they made would be helpful before the 17th.
So you're saying that we should have Frank Richter, try to have him in on the 17th if has the time.
Yeah, I think our meeting is on the 15th.
15.
Our next
15th,
meeting.
okay, yeah.
And then he meets with the Renewable Energy Task Force on the 16th.
Yeah.
And the cohort is on the 17th.
Yeah,
So if
busy
he could,
guy.
yeah, if he can come to our meeting on the 15th, that would be ideal. But he's, as I said, he's already on the agenda for the 16th. So, you know, maybe we can, you know, Jim and I can, or anybody that wants to, could meet with him before he meets with Renewable Energy on the 16th, if he wants to come early. But those are options you know, we can offer, but I don't know what everyone's availability is for the 16th. That'd be 2 days in a row.
I'd ask to see if he could come to the 15th at least. Maybe he says, yeah, you know? I'm like,
Yeah, so, Christine, if you or I can reach out to him and see if we can, what his accommodations might be.
Sure. And then I can ask, I think Bev Edwards does the agendas for the renewable energy, and we can, maybe one of us or both of us could just go to their meeting just to tell them what we're working on.
Yeah, does it make sense to push off the select board piece of this until after all that?
Yeah, maybe once we have a better understanding. Yeah,
Yeah, give whatever more information provided.
yeah, sure. I don't want to make their job more complicated.
That makes sense, George?
Makes perfect sense. Awesome.
Okay. I'm proposing that tonight, we, as far as other business, that we push that out to the next meeting. And unless I hear some objection. Yep.
I was just gonna follow up with Russ on a couple things, but I won't hold everybody up for that.
And I was hoping you might allow me to make a public comment before you go to the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely, we will.
Hearing call.
Oh, yeah, sure, go. Yeah, no, go ahead, this is the perfect time. Yep.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Nicole Concordia, Shooters Hill Lane. I wanted to make a comment. I know that you guys have met once since town meeting and the results of the election have come out and your minutes haven't come out yet. So I'm not sure what priorities you've set for the next year. But I've been very concerned that over the last 2 years, this board has proposed a zoning amendment to explicitly state that our zoning is permissive zoning. Without actual work going into finding out if that was really the intent of how our zoning ordinance came to be, or if it is what our town wants our zoning to be now. I believe it was in December, there were in the minutes, some things was said that we had an opinion from legal counsel that said our zoning actually is written both ways. And so I wanted to just request that this board doesn't put forth another article like you've done over the last 2 years without doing some due diligence and put some work and effort into what our zoning should be and make it consistently applied across the board. That was all.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. And I think we had, when we decided not to, again, for the second year, we did discuss briefly that that should be a main topic of our agenda for the year to really dig deep and
Figure it out.
yeah, and figure that out. So thanks for the reminder though, because I had forgotten about that, but that it would have come back up this fall.
Yeah, I know.
Right, I just appreciate that you put some effort into it and it not be a surprise at the end when you're running up against deadlines and hearings and trying to push, things through. Just, work on it throughout the
And
year.
come up and then have opposition again and be the same place we're at. Yeah.
Yep.
No, thank you for the heads up and
Not
appreciate
that
it.
we don't already have a long list, but should we put that as an agenda item to keep tracking it?
Yeah, I guess we could. What's your thoughts, Christine?
I think we have a pretty full agenda for the year already, especially if there's going to be changes coming down from the legislature. So I think, I don't think having it on the agenda is a bad idea, but I think I'm waiting to see what's going to come down from Concord.
Can we break it up? Well,
I mean, it could be on the agenda. We've had driveway regulations on the agenda for 3 years and,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah, definitely.
we
Like I
don't-
said, it's not a bad idea. It's just,
Just a-
It's a reminder.
Yeah, it's a reminder.
also, what I would suggest is, there's a couple phases to this, right? There's the discussion and decision on whether we want to go permissive or
Prohibitive.
yeah, whatever that other one is.
Prohibitive, yeah.
So, and then there's the other part of that which, well, there's actually 3 parts. And then the next piece of that would be to make all new guidance or regulations follow that policy. And then the third part is to go back and try and slowly work out the bugs in the existing stuff and clean it up and get it all the flow the same way. I would suggest, is it too much for us to consider making the decision whether we want to be permissively restricted? And then following that logic for all new stuff. And then at the following year, go back and try and clean up the old stuff.
I'm not sure it's even necessary that we determine whether it is or not, because it has been legally determined. And this has come up several years in a row and we've not decided to move forward with it. And I'm not sure that we need to spend significant time on determining that. I understand the concern, Nicole. And I certainly don't want to deal with that again at the end of the year, but we've kind of put it to bed several times and maybe we're okay with that. Unless there is a great desire to determine what we think it is, prohibitive or permissive. I don't have a great desire to rewrite zoning to determine that.
Legal says it we have permissive,
Correct,
it's permissive except for the ones who we restrict.
correct. So it has both.
My understanding was there were both, it's written both ways.
It's written both ways.
Right.
Well, at the moment, I guess, let's just say we'll take it under advisement and possibly put it on our,
I
Well-
think we should have a discussion whether we want to do that or not,
but
right?
maybe
And
not
then
not
we
tonight,
can
a
say,
deeper
look back
conversation,
and
yeah.
say, we decided that
Yeah.
we are going to go
Yeah.
forward with reviewing all zoning and determining one way or the other, or we're not.
So put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
to Have that discussion.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because I have a cold and Christine has a cold but I'm here. But I really want to end the meeting.
No,
Yeah,
I was
you-
trying to call out
you
and
know.
Christine wouldn't let me,
Mhm.
because that's why she's home, because she's sick too.
now
So
you're
I
gonna
just
throw
want
me under the bus, huh?
Yeah. I was being chivalrous. I said, no way, I'll do it. You, you stay home.
Thank you,
Uh,
Bruce.
My pleasure. So I wanted to just kind of
Yeah.
pass over the rest of the business for tonight, because none of it's really pressing. We can wait till the next meeting. It's just a quick thing. I did send in the CAI technology contracts signed, and Russ we got them back with the amounts, and Carol has them. I think her only question was, Christine, what account to put them in? Right? Did you? get
Well,
that?
there's two different ones because we put in $2,000 for the updates to the tax map. And then the other is a warrant article, so that is usually a separate item. But for the 2,000 for the tax updates, that was professional services. Planning board professional
I'll get back to you,
services.
Joe. Okay.
Yeah.
We could have these popped.
Okay.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Carter, how do you vote?
yes.
George? I vote yes.
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 Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Here we are again. Yeah. Yeah, right. If we're gonna bring it up, let's do it now and not wait till the last minute and do it all again. Thank you, Nicole.